Today's guest convinced 6 different investors to back his startup, all at just 21 years old.
The investor wants to give you as much money as you need to be successful.
He closed 40 plus restaurants and coffee shops using nothing but pure door-to-door hustle.
I think they were like, I think we annoyed them enough. They just decided that, okay, we're just gonna let them try it out. They really want this.
But there is a part he has never said publicly.
I wanted to fully lean into it, but I had college that I also had to do, like homework and stuff. I actually tried something really, I don't know if it's illegal, maybe a little bit.
And then, he made the boldest decision of his life.
I actually ended up dropping out of college.
Today, he is the CEO of CUUB, Powerbank station built so your phone never dies again.
But once we have 35 stations in, and of course we're going to continue growing, the goal is 1,000 stations in Chicago.
Meet Vlad Lachko. Hi Vlad, thank you for being here.
Of course.
Please tell me, what is CUUB for the first users and our viewers who don't know anything about it?
So CUUB, this is our startup, and we're building this new kind of public amenity where it's essentially similar to a divvy bike. We're going to place a lot of stations all over Chicago, and you can, if your phone's ever running low, you can borrow a power bank just like this and charge your phone. So instead of leaving your phone at a charging locker, you just borrow a power bank, charge your phone with you. And the idea is that there is thousands of these stations, and you can return the power bank at any other station.
Interesting. How much should I pay for this?
So this costs, right now we charge only $3 per day.
Oh, $3, okay.
So it's less than a coffee, we say.
This is true.
And you just borrow it, and you can have it for $3 for all day. And if you have it for longer, it's just another $3 for another
I like the
day.
pricing, and I think it's even cheaper than the coffee.
Yeah, I think it's much cheaper than a coffee. You know, it costs as much as a really cheap, shitty coffee.
Okay, Vlad, could you tell me, when was this exact moment when you decide, okay, I'm going to build CUUB?
So, the idea actually came to me when I was overseas visiting some family in Eastern Europe. And I was just hanging out with some of my friends. We were just going out in the city, you know, just having fun. And I kept seeing these small stations in every place we were. But I didn't notice what they were, but I just kept recognizing that it's the same kind of station in every single place.
Right.
And one time we were at a mall and my phone died, but we really needed my phone. And my friend was like, oh, just rent a power bank. And I was like, oh, that's what those stations were. And I remembered that these stations were literally everywhere. And they had a map. They had an app you download. You have a map. And I saw that it's this network of, I think they had like 10,000 stations in the city.
Yeah.
It was super accessible. You could rent a power bank anywhere, return it anywhere. At that moment, I realized this is such a good business model. And this is something we don't have in the United States.
You don't have in Chicago this power bank station?
So it was not to that level. There's some other companies that are also trying to build similar thing, but they haven't yet built it to such a large scale. And I honestly don't think that they see it as this standardized public amenity. They see it more as like a vending machine kind of situation, whereas I see it as a network product where we should place these stations in every place, no matter how much money it makes in that place. It benefits the entire network, and in that way, we'll build a really good public amenity.
Interesting. So does it mean that I can go like at any cafe and still like see your station? It's like your vision actually.
Yeah, my vision is that the station is in every single cafe, bar, club, mall, you know, campus, literally anywhere you go, you see a station. And even train stations, bus stations, have this really accessible network so that anybody can borrow it anywhere and return it anywhere.
Yeah, you mentioned that when you saw the station, you didn't even recognize that it was like power bank stations.
Yeah.
Do you think here people will recognize this?
I think at first people won't recognize it, but they will certainly start asking questions if they start recognizing it everywhere.
Oh, okay.
So similar to how Divi was, you know, when I first saw the first Divi station, I just thought it was somebody parked their bikes, you know, their blue bikes.
Yeah.
And then I saw another Divi station, the third one, and a fourth one. And then after you see it everywhere, you say, okay, what are these stations? Why are they everywhere? And that's how you find out what it is. And that's similar to how I found out. Eventually, after seeing it 5, 6 times, I started asking the question of, okay, what is this station I keep seeing everywhere? And yeah, I think it markets itself if the network is big enough.
So you see it day after day after day,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
what's this thing about? Okay.
And that's the biggest problem, because I don't need to market or convince the user to use our service. If your phone is running low, $3 is a very good price to charge your phone, instead of buying a $20 charger at 7-Eleven or asking somebody for a charger, asking a stranger. I think that, and even if you have a cord, sometimes there's just nowhere to plug it in. I think $3 is a very good price to get your phone charged and to not feel stressed.
Okay, all right. I'm curious, who was Vlad before CUUB? When did you have this shift in your mindset that you actually want to build something huge?
So I think I actually always wanted to build something huge, and this is actually a picture of me on the trip. I was just with some of my friends, but I actually always wanted to build something big. I just didn't know what it was going to be, and I had some ideas before. I wanted to build a social media platform for musicians and artists, to kind of producers and artists to come together and make music on my platform, and then also publish it to Spotify from our platform. But it kind of never worked out because I didn't know much about business yet. I just knew I wanted to build something, and I fell into the trap of thinking I had to build the perfect product before actually putting it out. And I never ended up putting it out. But yeah, I just needed to commit to something. The biggest problem was just knowing what to fully commit to.
Gotcha.
And CUUB was one of those things where I was like, okay, I'm gonna fully commit to it, fully jump into it.
So even before CUUB, you was trying a lot of things. Can you tell me more about, if you recognize?
Yeah, this is simply cinematic. So in early college and late high school, I was actually trying to build a photography agency, for real estate, like a drone photography agency. And I knew I wanted to make money in some way. I knew I wanted to work for myself. So that was kind of actually my first attempt at building a business of my own. And I would go on Zillow and I would look at listings that had bad pictures and bad videos. And I would find the real estate agent's phone number and I would just cold call them. And I would just make, 50, 60 calls per day.
Wow.
Trying to pitch my service, be like, hey, your pictures look shit. Let me go take some pictures,
But how did you negotiate with them? In terms of to explain to your potential clients that, okay, this picture doesn't look great.
Yeah.
How did you say to them this information?
I just asked them why. I tried a lot of things. That was my first experience in actual sales and cold approach.
Okay.
So I was really bad at it at first. I had no idea how I couldn't get any clients for so long because I just didn't know how to pitch. I didn't know how to introduce myself because it's a cold call. It's one of the hardest things you can do.
Right.
But it's one of the best ways to do business. But I would cold call, and at first I would just say, hey, I noticed that you haven't had professional pictures taken yet. Would you like me to come in and take some professional pictures for $100?
Actually, I remember when I was trying to do reselling of shoes.
Yeah.
And I also did cold calls, and it was so hard. I always have no idea how to speak with them.
Yeah.
Did you learn from some source how to do that, or it was more like practice?
It was more like YouTube. I watched a lot of YouTube, just people, showing how they're making cold calls. I tried a tactic where I was honest with them and I was like, hey, this is if I knew I was calling, for example, John, right? His name is John. I said, hey, John, this is Vlad. I'm going to be honest. This is a cold call. I'm trying to pitch my service. Can I get 30 seconds to tell you about my service? Sometimes they would sometimes they would let me pitch. They would give me 30 seconds. and I would just tell them about my photography business, and yeah, sometimes they said yes, sometimes they say no. Yeah.
Yes, this happened. Could you tell me more about Envision Your Future? Was it like this application which you mentioned before, or it's something else?
So that was something else. That was actually a club I wanted to start at my college when I was at Oakton.
What is Octo?
Oakton is the community college that
Okay.
I went to for 2 years after high school. But I thought I was at Oakton. I didn't really know what to do because I was working on my the Simply Cinematic, the drone photography thing, but I wasn't doing it. I wasn't fully committed to it. I would just kind of do it time to time.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see what else I could do, what else I could learn, and I actually tried to make a club, like an entrepreneurship club,
Oh, really?
at my school.
Okay.
Yeah. It ended up not being very successful because,
Why?
again, because I didn't fully commit into
Mm.
it, as well as I also didn't know how to build a community at that point. I didn't have good speaking skills. I didn't have good skills. I didn't know how to bring people together very well, and
So it was more about like how to market this community, or there just weren't enough people who was interested?
I think there was actually a lot of people who would be
Mm.
interested. I just didn't know how to market it. I didn't feel comfortable doing guerrilla marketing, like coming up to people, annoying them, being like, "Hey, join my club," you know.
Yeah.
We did one meeting at the club. We had a couple people show up, and I think second part was we didn't really have a purpose of what to do at the club.
Mm.
People showed up, and it was just kind of like, what do we do now? Now that we're here, you know, it wasn't. We didn't have a purpose, a
Yeah.
purposeful community. People didn't know what to do when they showed up, and we didn't know what to give them when they showed up. We just kind of sat there and talked and ate pizza, you know,
Yeah.
and that doesn't interest people very much.
I think it's really hard to build such community because even at DePaul, like it is university where I'm studied, computer science,
Yeah.
and there is like this club which called CUUB club. And the first time when I went there, I was really surprised
Yeah.
of preparation which they had, because you just went here, you just listen, you learn,
Yeah.
and it is like something which I feel really cool with. But at
Yeah.
the same time, it's really hard to build something like this.
It is. Community building is really, really hard.
Okay, Vlad, look,
Really hard.
I saw one of your pictures
Uh-huh.
on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me more about your relationship with university/college?
Yeah. So, yeah, this is one of the captions I put. So, my relationship with college was always very iffy. I actually ended up dropping out of college
What-
after 2 years. I dropped out of college, and I already the last semester I actually did something really. It was really funny. So, I didn't want to do school anymore. I actually really wanted to focus on the startup I was doing at the
Okay.
time, which was Mixtape, which was we called it Mixtape. It was the music oriented community
Alright.
kind of thing we were building, and I wanted to fully lean into it, but I had college that I also had to do, like homework and stuff, and I actually tried something really I don't know if it's illegal, maybe a little bit, but I found some like agency that would do school for you.
Wow.
They would do your online classes for you and like do your homework and take your tests for you, you know. And I remember calculating and thinking, okay, so the amount of time I'm spending on school, in that time I could instead go work at my job and make that amount of money. And the amount of money that they took, like it cost, was so much less. It would take me so much less time to make that money and just pay them. So I decided that it made sense in terms of time that instead of doing school, I would work at my restaurant job
Okay.
as a server, which actually made really decent amount of money, and I would pay weekly for the school, and it ended up being a brutal failure because they stopped doing my school,
Wha-
and they didn't stop doing my school. They would keep doing it, but I ended up failing like half of my classes because they like didn't take my tests good, and it ended just up being like a huge failure, you know. I remember at that moment I was like, man, I don't want to do school anymore. Like this is not
What like finally made you say I'm out? Like what was this like final
yeah.
decision after they fail a lot of tests or?
I was already planning on dropping out before I even had the CUUB idea.
Yeah.
Because the CUUB idea actually came that summer after that semester, my last semester. But I already knew I wanted to drop out. I already knew I wanted to focus on something, on some kind of business, on some kind of venture. I didn't know what it was going to be yet. I knew for a fact I was going to do some kind of business and I was going to fully commit to it. And yeah, after that trip to Eastern Europe, I came back and I immediately knew this was going to be what I was going to do. After I had that idea, I was like, man, I have to commit to it fully. I don't know how I'm going to do this yet. I don't know what I'm going to do like to make this happen, but I knew that I wanted to fully commit and fully pursue the venture.
Oh, wow, it looks like you take a lot of risks. And
Yeah.
I was wondering because when I told to my like friends and parents that I want to drop out from my like college at Czech Republic, it was like just crazy conversation.
Yeah.
I'm interested how your parents' friends reacted to your stations
Yeah.
that you drop out.
So parents weren't happy, of course. You know, I have immigrant parents. They value school very much. They think that I think their opinion has changed a little bit now. Now that they've seen that I'm working and I'm doing something. But at first they were very skeptical because in their minds, you know, degree is everything and you have to get a degree, absolutely necessary, or else you're nobody in this world, you know. And
Do you think that degree is important nowadays?
I think in certain jobs, for example, if you're going doctor, you absolutely need degree. If you're doing architecture, need degree. Lawyer, you know, that's also those like really high white collar jobs, 100% need degree. Maybe even finance. I think you need degree, but things like, for example, computer science, I think it's a very big misconception, in my opinion, that you need degree to be good at computer science.
But do you think it is possible to get a job without a degree in computer science industry? I guess like
It's weird because right now I think you can be an expert in computer science without a college degree, but in the current market, nobody's gonna hire you if you don't have a degree. So
That's true, actually.
if you want to get an internship, you have to be enrolled in a college. If you want to get a full-time job, they always look, do you have bachelor's degree? First thing they look. If you don't have bachelor's degree, they won't even look at your resume. And that's what sucks because I think actual college does not teach you any skills. People sometimes have that misconception that, oh, as long as I finish college, everybody's going to hire me. But then they finish college and then they realize nobody wants to hire them because they don't have any skills. And they look to see if you have your degree first. And if you have it, okay, perfect. What kind of skills do you have? You know, and your skills can't be, I built a calculator app, you know?
Yeah.
Like they want to see that you've built something of value, that you maybe you built some product already or tried something, and only then will they consider you. You know, and that's kind of
No, actually, I'm totally agree because I remember I have a friend who is studying in university.
Yeah.
And it was somehow in the start of my career.
Yeah.
I just like spent approximately like 2 years when I was learning programmers, like coding, programming skills, and so on. And actually, I realized that at that point, she was like almost. She was like I think at like junior. Yeah, I think it was like junior.
Yeah.
She was a junior, and I already knew more than she does because I just dedicate all my free time to these things while she was trying to do like labs and all this stuff, like homeworks, which I think isn't as bad, but at the same time, I feel like it doesn't teach you like these practical skills which you need in real life.
Yeah. At the end of the day, whatever you do, whenever a business hires you, they're looking at you as an investment, right? We're paying this guy, this senior developer, $100,000 or $150,000. Are we gonna make that $100,000 back and more from this guy? And if you can show that you have done things and you understand what to do to make money, that is a lot more valuable to them. Like, for example, if you're a coder and you've built a small little product and you've shown that this sells and you can make how to make a product that people want to use, that is so much more valuable because they can see that you're worth the investment. You have enough expertise that not just to build random stuff. You also know how to optimize it for good money flow. And that's really valuable. That's why I hope that even if CUUB doesn't work out, I still can show that I have some experience in, building a software product for a business that was making me some recurring revenue.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So let's change our topic, but I still interested. What was this main argument when your parents say, okay, we are okay that you don't go to the college?
I don't think they were okay per se. I was never in the beginning. I was never able to convince them. I just said, look, I need to do this. I need to fully commit to something, and you guys might not fully agree with me right now, and you guys are just gonna have to trust me. And it wasn't a bad, I ran away or something. At the end, they were like, he's 20 years old, he's an adult, he will probably figure it out. At some point, they were just okay with me leaving. Of course, they were really scared. They were really skeptical that I'm just gonna slack off and not do anything with my life. But I knew I wanted to do something, and I couldn't have my parents' opinion stop me. So I made that jump, and I just moved out, dropped out, and started doing what I needed to do.
Coach, I want to tell you one story.
Yeah.
Actually, it was just a normal day, and I was walking to the dining hall.
Yeah.
And then I saw one of your stations.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, oh wow, how 21 years old convinced the whole university to put his station. Actually, I even have the photo to put his station to university.
The school, you have a lot of these pictures,
Could you explain me how does it happen?
So we actually, we didn't even know it was going to happen. We didn't know how to make it happen. We knew that it would be really, really cool to have some stations at DePaul University. Actually, to give a little context, my initial idea was to place my first stations at some restaurants.
Okay.
So when I first started, I ordered initial 3 stations to just place, and I didn't know what I was going to do with them, where I was going to place. I just knew that the business model would probably work, and I would probably be able to place it somewhere. And my co-founder, Jovan, at the time, I showed him the station, and I was like, what do you think about it? And immediately he was like, we should place it at DePaul University. And that was actually his idea.
Because he studied at DePaul, right?
And he actually studies at DePaul. And he was like, I'm sure that since I'm a student, they might want to help a student entrepreneur and help place the station. It actually ended up being a lot harder than we thought, because we thought, we would probably just go in and talk to some guy who would let us. But the hardest...
It doesn't sound that hard just yet, to convince one person.
Yeah, but the problem was that who is that guy to convince? Because DePaul is big. DePaul, I think, has 20,000 students or something.
So. Even more, I think. But
it's a really, really big school. So many campuses, so many buildings. Who do you talk to? Who is that one person to talk to? And majority of the time was spent on finding that person who is in charge of all these of the DePaul vending machine kind of thing. And we eventually, after about 5 or 6 meetings with different people telling us to go talk to him. It was a chain of 5 meetings. We actually reached some guy who was like, okay, I'm gonna listen to you guys, I'm gonna hear you guys out. We told him about the idea, and we pitched it as we're student entrepreneurs, and we want to, this is a this is a product that would be really good for DePaul students, and we know because we are DePaul students, you know, and they kind of heard us. They thought the idea was pretty cool, and he said that he will talk to actual guy who would make that decision.
How long does it take to go to this actual guy who made this decision?
I think it took us like 4 months.
4 months?
From starting to actually getting on the meeting that would actually get us.
Why so long? Because
so DePaul is a big establishment, and they have a lot of things going on all the time, and placing a charging station is like least priority. It's like right here, you know. I'm sure they have to deal with so many more important things, and a hard part, something that I learned is if you don't have urgency for why DePaul should have station right now, they will take as long as they need to. They will take really long, because if it's not something that's super necessary, they won't care. And that's something that I think we learned and we didn't do, is have that urgency, and we ended up waiting for a really, really long time. But eventually the guy who is in charge of placing these kind of things said, okay, let's place it. You guys seem like you really want this place. I don't know if he actually saw value in it that much. He just saw that me and Jovan were just pushing so much. We just really, really wanted to get the station in, and it was free for DePaul. It's free for DePaul to have the station. So I think they saw that they wouldn't lose anything, and they gave us a little trial run for a semester to see if we want to place 2 stations and see how they perform, if students even want to use it. And luckily, students actually ended up using it, and they later messaged us and said, hey, seems like this is a useful thing. How about we expand the contract and have more stations, you know, in dorms, in all these other buildings.
So you have like stations at dorms now?
We will very soon.
Okay.
Yeah. We will have some stations at dorms. We will have station at Schmidt Academic Center. What was the other place? I think at the Arts and Letters Hall. So we will have 9 stations all over DePaul.
Wow, that's a lot
for students to use, and you know, we know that this is a very big like help for students. Sometimes you just forget your charger in your dorm and you're in the other campus. What do? You know, your friends don't have chargers sometimes. You don't want to buy a charger. We know that students don't have a lot of money to spend on, you know, another cord that's gonna break in a week.
Yeah, this is true.
And
honestly, I think about why they accept this deal. I think actually just DePaul sees this commitment, because you mentioned like 4 years. 4 years is a lot. When you see that someone is trying for so long period, you actually just want to help them.
Yeah.
And I think, as you mentioned, they didn't lose anything, so it was like.
Yeah, I think they were like, I think we annoyed them enough, where like they just decided that okay, we're just gonna let them try it out. They really want this to happen. And yeah, that was the best feeling ever when they said, when we got the email and they were like, all right, send over the contract. We were like, yes.
But how did you market the whole thing? Like, since they give you like a trial, they give you a chance to try, but students didn't know about that. So you should like, I guess somehow do a marketing for this.
Yeah, that was another interesting part. The way we marketed was very simple. We set up a table at the big student center that we were going to have a station in, and about a month before we had the station placed, we would just, me and Jovan would bring one of our stations to the table. We bought a spinning kind of like lottery kind of thing, and we would get donuts every time, and we placed donuts, we placed the spinning thing and a station on the other side, and some prizes, you know, some prizes from like the dollar store. And every time someone would pass by, we would just be like, hey, would you like to spin for a free donut? You know, and when we catch their attention and they're spinning and getting the free donuts, we would just talk about our station, you know, and tell them about it, say that we're placing this here very soon, that this is something that you'd be able to use. Would you borrow a charger? We ran surveys during that time, just getting people to follow our Instagram, just building awareness that this is something that you will be able to use once it's here.
Oh, wow, so you even started to do this marketing before you put the station?
Yeah.
Why before? Why don't, when you put the station and to show them, like, look, it looked like this?
Yeah, because we wanted to have that awareness there, so that when we do place a station, everybody already knows what that station is, or at least some people already know that, oh, this is that charging station those guys who gave donuts were talking about, you know. And we would table a lot. We would do 3-4 times a week, 8 hours at a time. Just like, we'd come in there in the morning at like 9-10 in the morning and leave around 5-6 o'clock p.m. and just for 8 hours at a time, we would just sit and talk about our CUUB station. Every single person who passed by, we would just be like, hey, free donut. They would come and be like, hey, by the way, this is what we're here for. We're promoting our station that we're gonna have here very soon. Was this something that would interest you? How often does your phone die? You know, do you carry a portable charger on you, or do you have some charger on you? How do you usually solve this problem when you don't have a phone charger, you know? And
did you also like write all this information somewhere, or you just listen?
So we listened, we wrote, we actually ran a survey.
Okay.
We had a survey that we asked people to fill out, and we would give them a free like donut if they filled out a survey or something, you know, something like that.
Would you recommend for young founders to do the same thing, like to first marketings and product?
Yeah, 100%. Biggest thing I recommend is, even before you have anything to show, just whatever you have, scrap something up, you know, and show that, and start asking people questions, start doing surveys, get it out there before you have any kind of product. And that was like my personal experience with the previous project I was working on, is I didn't want to tell anybody about my project until I thought it was perfect. And then I could release it and have this like big launch, and people would go on it and use it, you know. And it's like this dream of like, oh, I'm gonna launch this big startup product, you know, and people are gonna use it. And that was the big mistake, is that I thought it had to be perfect before I tell people about it. How I think that if you're a founder and you have an idea, the best thing you can do is draw your idea on a piece of paper, go out and tell everybody about it. One other thing that me and Jovan did on campus, before even tabling, before anything, I wish I actually had it. We printed out these business cards, and the business card would say phone running low, you know, and the underside would be like rent a charger, and then a little QR code, and look, a little picture of our station. And me and him would take a stack of like 50 cards, go on campus, and just pass them around to everybody, every student we saw. We were like, hey, this is going to be on campus soon, check this out, you know, hey, check this out. And we would just print like hundreds of these cards and just pass them out to every single student. Just drip sequence, just get them to know that we exist. There's a CUUB company out there trying to build a good charging solution, you know?
Yeah.
We haven't showed them any kind of station yet, we haven't showed them anything, but they remember that, oh, there's this black card with a blue text and a picture of this machine looking thing. Because later they might see that machine and they might be like, oh, that's the same picture I saw on my thing. Oh, that's what they were talking about, you know?
Yeah, you just build awareness in that way.
Yeah.
Look, I have another kind of larger picture.
Yeah.
So it is the DePaul newspaper.
Yeah.
I was wondering, how did you get to the newspaper, and what did it change for your marketing?
Yeah. Well, the newspaper actually, so DePaul is run by some students actually. It's like I think like a club that lets students write articles for a newspaper, and they post these articles. And so we were working with some students that were helping us do some kind of marketing, and one of the girls in their organization was a DePaul like article writer. She wrote articles, and she asked us, she was like, hey, can I feature you guys in my article? And we were like, oh yeah, for sure, let's try it out, let's see how it works. I think some students did recognize us from the article, although I'm not sure what kind of like quantifiable like value it brought us. I'm not sure, but that was a pretty cool experience, I think.
So they also in some way interview you, or just ask some questions?
Yeah, they sat down, interviewed us, like kind of similar, like, hey, how did you start this? What was the idea?
Okay, gotcha.
You know, why DePaul? Why would you bring this to DePaul and not anywhere else? You know, kind of just like asked us some questions, and we helped them answer. It's really interesting because they said how 2 students brought, and I'm not a student at DePaul.
Okay.
You know, so
probably shouldn't tell it.
yeah.
Now you will destroy them the whole business.
Yeah, I will destroy our whole business. I have to keep pretending that I'm the student there, but I think it's okay. Actually,
no, I just kidding, of course.
Yeah. I actually think DePaul's entrepreneurship program is very, very good, and they're very welcoming from non-students.
Mm-hmm.
So me and Jovan, we came into the CEC, the Coleman Entrepreneurship Center. I'm gonna feature them right now. They were a lot of help. We came in, and I was very skeptical. I was like, I don't know if they would want to help us since I'm not a student there. But Jovan was a student, and they were like, oh yeah, as long as one of the students is working on the project as well, you know, we can help you guys out. And they gave us a lot of memberships to 1871, TechNexus, which was amazing, like exposure to like a startup grind community kind of in Chicago.
TechNexus is incubator or?
TechNexus is actually so they have a venture capital firm in TechNexus, and it's also a co-working spot where startups kind of work.
Gotcha.
And they do events there all the time. They do kind of networking. TechNexus is a great spot to be in and to be around smaller startup companies. Really good spot.
Gotcha. After DePaul, how did you choose the next year location? Because I think like for vending machines, choosing the right spot is a key.
Yeah.
So how did
100%.
Decided?
So our goal I always pushed for this, was that we need to, next step after DePaul was to build a very, very dense network. I need to show that this isn't just a vending machine company and we have these vending machines that are by themselves. Each station is part of a network and it needs to be in a dense spot. DePaul was a great spot at first because DePaul is already like a small city in its own. And we can kind of emulate that small network in DePaul, but I wanted to expand it further. And our first idea was, let's try to get in some other colleges like UIC, Northwestern, Loyola. But we realized that in startups, the very important thing is speed. And working with a college is not fast at all. So it takes so long. So it took us about half a year to get any kind of contract with DePaul for 2 stations, and it took us about a year to get a full contract for 9 stations. So that's not very fast. Our goal is to, in a year, place 500 to 1,000 stations, you know?
Have you ever read the book like The Lean Startup?
Which one?
The Lean Startup.
I actually haven't, no.
No?
No.
You should try. It's teach about the concept, how to
Yeah.
build the thing in really quick way. And I think it's like the thing which you're talking about. And the speed there is like one of the biggest priorities.
One of the biggest priorities.
Yeah. Okay, so then you decided to concentrate on some area and put all the stations. What was the tactics to negotiate with small businesses, restaurants, cafe?
Yeah. So, kind of transitioning, we decided that the fastest way to do it would be to work with smaller kind of bars, clubs, coffee shops. Because it's a lot faster to place a station there, and it's kind of like quantity over quality of placement. And we decided to fully focus on Lincoln Park, kind of a Lakeview area. And after DePaul, we ended up raising a small pre-seed round, and we had enough money for 35 stations.
Okay.
And while we're waiting for this order, we decided we were going to learn how to do door-to-door sales now. So we understood how to sell to a bigger school. Now let's learn how to do these small door-to-door walk-ins where you just walk into a location and your goal is to find the owner or general manager, whoever can make that decision, and pitch CUUB to them, why it brings them value. And the goal is to place it as fast as possible within a week, maybe 2 weeks. And that was really hard to learn that as well. Because
so
the negotiation, how do you even pitch the CUUB station to them? How do you get them interested? Because in theory, it should be very easy to pitch because it's free for them. We share our revenue with them.
How much did you share?
We right now share 20%.
Okay, well,
with our locations. So it's a pretty decent amount, but most of the value doesn't come from the money it makes to the location. A lot of the value comes from, for example, for bars, we understood that Bars, bartenders, managers hate taking people's phones behind the bar and charging them. That's because now you're liable for that person's phone. What if you spill something in it? What if you drop it? What if you lose it? It's stressful. It's already stressful to be a bartender. It's even more stressful to be a bartender and have people's phones in the back.
Right.
And then they come back to you and they distract you and you're like, oh, can I take my phone back? You know, now you have to think about giving them their phone back. And that's what we offer, is kind of taking that stressor away from them. Just having a station, and the bartender just says, oh yeah, rent just a charger over there for $3. And that was the big thing for bars. Another big thing is that since it's a network, people will come in to your place to return a battery. That way they have exposure to your new place. Maybe that's a coffee shop they would have never went into, but now they have. And now they know about your coffee shop, and maybe they'll order a coffee even, you know?
Right, so it's not only free, it's not only give 20% of revenue, but it also give like some extra awareness and even plus revenue from sales.
Right.
Because potentially, if I just go to the charger in the cafe and I saw something interesting, I would probably buy something.
Right, yeah. It's good exposure. I mean, I'm sure not everybody who's going to come back and return a charger, but coffee shops really care about that exposure. Person coming in, and instead of just seeing it on a map, you know, having exposure on like online, like Yelp or something, it's real exposure where they came in and they saw your whole coffee shop, they saw what you offer. And that's very valuable. That's a lot of value I think we bring in that way.
Mentioned pre-seed investors, but we will come back slightly later. Now I want to talk about your competitors. Do you recognize some of these logos?
Of course, we love our competitors.
You know your competitors.
Yeah.
How did you deal with them?
I have a very like controversial way I talk about my competitors. It's not controversial, but I think it would surprise a lot of people, where I see our competitors as our colleagues this is a new market in America. Most people don't know what renting a portable charger is. They don't know about this service, and it's really hard to carry a market by yourself as a business. And it's really nice when you have other companies also pursuing this market. And competition is always good. Number one, that means that it already works in some way, shape, or form. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of their ideas, but at the core, you know, it works. People are renting charger. That was a good sign for me, and I'm so far investors that, competitors are already doing this. And second, I think it's really nice to, you know, have that, knowing that our user is going to be exposed to their product as well, right? And most times, it's not like you're using, for example, what's a good example? You know, Apple Maps or Google Maps, right? People choose the better product, right? But in our case, people are going to choose whatever closest station to them. You know, people are not going to, if a Charger Go-Go station is closer to that person, they will probably rent a Charger Go-Go station. And that's fine. They got exposed to that new kind of business. Next time they're in one of our restaurants, they're going to know what our station already is. That's good exposure for us too. They're going to know what it is. They're going to rent our charger. Hopefully they like our experience as well, you know, and I just think that it's important to have a friendly relationship with our competitors, because do you have any other extra benefit in terms of like competition with your competitor? Something that we offer, and that was my idea from the beginning, is having it's something very small. It's not that big of a difference, but having a card reader on our stations, and have a very simple process of just tapping your card and receiving the charger. So the user doesn't have to download any apps. He doesn't have to register anywhere. He doesn't have to do any of that. He can just tap card and receive his battery. And because I remember actually one of your competitors product, and it was kind of not hard, but it took me extra time to download. And then when my phone was dying, I was like, if shit, I should speed up. And you know what? To them, there are benefits to having that and having users, because now you can see how many users you have. You can ask them questions. You can see who your users are. And that way, that can help you to build an even better product. So for us, it's hard to actually get in contact with our users and understand what kind of pain points they have, because we don't collect any data. We don't need to collect their card number. It's completely secretive. We don't see what their card numbers are. And on one hand, it's good for the user because it's just easy process, but it's hard for us to understand what the user wants and how to improve it. So there's ups and downs to it.
If you don't collect any apps, how do user find locations? They should just remember and go to the location with the app before.
So actually, something that we did make is every battery has a QR code, and user can scan QR code to see a map. And similar to Diddy map or a line map, you can see all of the on the map and all of our locations, and they'll see where they get reached.
I see. Suppose they just visit your app, right?
Yeah.
And they can see all the different locations.
Yeah.
Okay, but how did I? Okay, then I choose some locations, but I assume that there is possibilities that the location will be full of manufacturers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why we have also a feature when you click on the pin, it shows you how many empty slots there are and how many full slots there are. And it has there's like a button that says show directions, and it'll show you directions how to get there. And
I wish more people knew about it.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to figure out right now is how do we educate our users how to use the product. I also think that right now it's a little bit hard because currently we only have 5 stations, and I think that the network is too small and too thin for people to care about the network aspect of it right now. But once we have 35 stations in, and of course we're going to continue growing. The goal is 1,000 stations in Chicago. But once the network grows more and more, I think that the potential to get the user to care about the network aspect of it is going to be a lot high.
All right. During like all our conversation, you always mention we. And you mentioned one of your co-founders, he's an student at DePaul.
Yeah.
Could you tell more about your like co-founders and like which roles they are doing?
Yeah. So of course I always say we have it's the 3 of us. It's me, a guy named Jovan, and Nick.
Okay.
And we all actually knew each other from way back. So me and Jovan actually practically grew up with each other. We have like a brother-cousin relationship. We knew each other since we were like 3 years old, With Nick, I met Nick 6 years ago. Me and Jovan met Nick, and we always had that like in tune of, we were always entrepreneurial. We always wanted to kind of do some kind of business. We're always like moving, and I showed the project to Jovan, I showed it to Nick, and I immediately saw passion in their eyes. They immediately committed to it. We didn't even talk about how we were going to split up the business because it was obvious we were going to, split it. Like, that wasn't even the conversation. The conversation was like, how do we make this happen? How do we build it? It was in no way like a hiring process where I like sat down and like hired them, It was not like that at all. It was just a couple friends just trying to do some business. And
how did you decide that who, like you are at CEO of CUUB, how did you decide like who goes to each position?
Yeah, it was naturally what your skills are. So for example, Nick was of course friend, but we didn't just work with Nick or with Jovan just because they're friends, right? For example, Nick has a very, very large and extensive sales skills. So Nick was doing sales before CUUB, and I knew that if we were going to scale CUUB, we need someone who understands sales, who understands how to build a sales pitch, how to build a sales process. And Nick was that guy. Nick knew how to build the distribution process, how to build a sales pitch, how to go out there and talk to these locations. We needed somebody to lead that process. Jovan is, well, first of all, he also understands how to code. So he's a big coder. He's also very analytical. He's really, really good with numbers. Right now, he is in position of finance, who does all of our numbers, who does all of our, he does like calculations, all 3 of us have the skill. All 3 of us can sell. All 3 of us can, do numbers, do math. All three of us can do marketing. All three of us can do everything. And I think that's important, but it's nice when you have somebody in the team who's leading a certain process. Yeah. And it takes off the pressure off of the two other co-founders. You just kind of trust that guy to do that specific part.
So you just split it very so the stronger side of your co-founder, and then you say, okay, we'll go inside of it.
Yeah.
You also mentioned that the Nexus, right? It is a co-working space.
Right.
So that means that you're meet with your, how often do you meet with your co-founders? Is like once per week at like co-working space?
Well, fun fact, we actually are roommates. Three of us. So we live in the same apartment. So we see each other every single day. We wake up to go into sleep. And all we talk about is you. All right. So like we really live and breathe it. This is really the most important thing going on in our lives. And, we're kind of losers. It's the only thing going on in our lives, which I think is fine. I have a lot of fun building a startup, but we really don't have these like corporate, like, oh, let's meet once a week for like an all hands meeting. We meet all the time, everywhere. We do everything together, and we kind of have that culture of like, we live and breathe the startup. So
did you feel like any funny situation when like living together, like on the company or something like you happen funny?
It's never been that really together. It killed the company. I think that it actually improves because everybody is in tune. Everybody's aligned with where the business is going, which is one of the most important and one of the hardest things to build in a company is get everybody aligned to be doing the same thing. Yeah. Which is something that we had, which was pretty difficult to figure out because I had a vision, but I didn't have a lot of clarity on how we were going to get to the vision. Jovan had his own ideas, Nick had his own ideas, and at one point we realized that everybody's building a startup in their own direction. A lot of arguments would happen because we would just simply not agree on the vision, right? And the way we solved that was we would go in and be like, wait, what is the vision that we're building? What exactly are we doing? And a lot of the times the reason the argument happened is because Nick thought we were doing this and I thought we were doing this, and we had to take this and go all the way back to the root cause of why we have disagreement and see, okay. And I have to, as a CEO, of course, as the main visionary, I have to go in and it's my job to have full clarity of what we're doing. Yeah. Yeah, that's really hard. And I think we're getting a lot better at being in line with each other. But in terms of like funny story, I mean, we have fun. We go out, we go for drinks sometimes. Well, we'll stay up very late often, on weekends. If for example, we completed a big task, we can take a break.
Okay, some kind of reward.
Yeah, we have some fat rewards to go off with some drinks. There's a lot of night bars. And even when we go to bars, we always think about how would we sell to this? How would we place a station at this? So we're
strategic move.
Yeah, right. We always think we think a lot about business.
I think it's really cool that you live together. As you mentioned, it's really improves this kind of connection. Yeah. In the business, which I think is one of the most important.
Yeah, result.
I was interesting. So this is like including you, like three co-founders. Do you have some like other like partners, or did you hire somebody? Because I think I saw like some of your Uber Eats. So it's like who doing all this thing? Is it like you, Johan?
So since we're at DePaul, we know that we weren't going to do this because I didn't think people would want to just do stuff like for no pay. And we're a very young startup. We don't have money to pay to hire anybody for any of these things. But we noticed while we were tabling, a lot of people would come up to us and be like, hey, I make videos. Hey, I'm a video editor, or hey, I have social media marketing skills, and we would tell them like, oh, like we would love for you to help, but we don't have any money to pay you, and they were like, oh no, this is for free. I just want to build for resume. And we realized a lot of people want to contribute to something without getting immediate like pay, but they want to build a resume. They want to contribute to some kind of startup. especially if it's a startup done by, people their age, people there in their community. And Beyond realized that we should try running maybe some unpaid internships just to see if people would want to like help in some ways. Just,
We basically just put probably somewhere on your website and you like hiring.
yeah. And I made one video that we're hiring. That was also an interesting experience of like trying to hire somebody. Now I understand what's to look out for when I don't want to hire somebody, or when I do. There is some things to look out for that I didn't know what they were, and now I do. Now I have a better understanding of what makes a good, intern, or what makes a good like colleague.
Good. I mean, but to kind of precede, the investor, how did you find that? Like, did you show any recommendation? Did you show your own experience of finding your first man?
Yeah. Recommendation: talk to anybody about your business and talk with conviction. I think if that helped us a lot, is kind of being a little bit delusional and being a little bit like thinking of our business as actually, let me think about the answer real quick. Something we would do very early on, even before placing stations, we would talk like it's for sure happening. This is the best opportunity ever. We fully believe this is the best opportunity ever, and we would talk that way. And we would talk about a product with such kind of like harsh conviction, like this is for sure going to work. There's no way this doesn't work, And at every stage, before we place stations, we talk that way. When we place 2 stations, we talk that way. Right now, the same way I'm talking about on business right now is the same way I talked about it when I had nothing in the business. But I think that conviction, and people listen to it. And sometimes when you're networking, when you're coming out to a bunch of people, sometimes you hit a person who is interested, and they end up reaching back and being like, hey, I see you guys are fundraising money right now. I would like to put in some money. And
to think of like the main reason why investor investing was the conflict in you and like your
no, because they always look at the risk factor. If the founder is not confident, if the founder is like, oh, 50-50, this might work, this might not, they will not invest. If the founder doesn't believe in that, why should this stranger, believe it? Yeah.
But I think it's really hard to commit investors just by saying, look, it is our vision. Right? You like show strategy, or how did you like mean?
Right. They want to see that you've planned everything out, that you have a plan. That you're not just this delusional founder who thinks it's gonna work. What are the reasons why it's gonna work? Why do you think it's gonna work? What kind of plan do you have? And in the beginning, it's really hard because you don't know what your plan should be. You think you have a plan, and I think that we did a pretty good job kind of having some kind of plan. And I think in the beginning, what will actually get you to get investors to invest is if you show them that this is a decent idea, which in our case, we're lucky because this is a successful business overseas. So we can show that this is a proven concept. Second thing is they need to see that you live and breathe the startup, that all you do all day, every day is work on the startup, and you will make it happen no matter what kind of difficulties, it's okay to have challenges. It's okay to not know how to build something, but it's not okay to give up and not do it after a couple fails. What they want to see is that, first 2 months, you were not able to do anything, and then you found some success, and then you've made this into a successful project, whatever you were doing at the moment.
Yeah. If you would try to raise money again, is there something different that you do if you start again? When you like learn something?
Yeah.
How did you think was important but you didn't use it?
Yeah. Being more confident in how much money we need to raise. So first time founders who are raising, I didn't know how to raise money at all. This was the first time I'm ever asking somebody for lots of money, more money that I've ever had myself. And naturally, a human feels like the investor is going to try to invest less and you want to ask them to invest more. And it feels that the investor is going to want to give you less money and you have to convince them to give you more money. But that's not true. The investor wants to give you as much money as you need to be successful. And going to an investor and being like, hey, I need this much. And I need this much because of these things. And if the investor says, and the investor needs to know that if you get less, you won't be successful. I need this much. And that's an uncomfortable thing to do as a first-time founder, to be like, for an investor to be like, I think I should give you this. And you have to tell them like, no, I need more, because naturally it's like an unnatural thing, but, next to any founder who's raising, you just have to be really confident at how much money you need. Also, of course, don't ask for $1 million if you're first-time founder, right? No one's going to give you $1 million, but, right? Unless you're Elon Musk, of course, but they might give you a couple $1,000 to start your business. And
I also heard that, this kind of precipitations, a lot of people start raising money for their family, but it looks like it was for me that you kind of skips this part. It does go straight forward to you.
Yeah. People always told me my friend's family is who we raised from. And to me, it always felt wrong because I don't want to, I think family has to stay as family. And when someone gives you money and expects something back from you, that's no longer family. It's kind of become this complex, like you're family, but you owe me money now and you owe me something, and it's not your family. And family, I always knew I want to keep as family. Of course, I never want to borrow any money or take any money from my family. I started this business off of my own money. My parents didn't lend me any money. Moved out on my own money. I always kind of felt like if I build a business on my family's funds, I am always going to have this feeling of irk. So like, now this is this is a family relationship, but it's now I also owe my family. And I just don't like that. Or best friends, friends of my family also, not something that interests me. That's why I would rather go out there and meet new people and have them invest because they truly believe in us, believe in the business, rather than, that's just my, just my nephew, my nephew trying some business. Okay, fine. Let me get some money,
And it's totally different station and you.
Right. And it also gives me confidence because that means I convince strangers to give their money, their hard-earned money, to me to earn them a lot more money in the future. That means that they for sure see value in our business, they see value in our team, rather than just family who wants to help out.
That's right. I was wondering, you mentioned that you put your first investments by yourself, like you earned this money.
Yeah.
How much did you put in? How do you earn those money?
Yeah.
Because how old was you? Like, is that point like 30?
I was 20, yeah. When I invested my first money into the business, I was 20, and I invested. The first investment was $2,000. Okay, I put in, and that money was saved up from working at a restaurant for a year.
Wow! So you just put your whole savings from 1 year towards this thing.
Yeah.
So where was this reasons that you believe so much that you put all this money? Why did you put?
I saw again. I think it was this urge to and frustration that I've never put in my whole everything into it, that I've never had a full commitment. And at one moment it clicked. It was like, this could work out. This will probably not work out because 99% of businesses don't work out. But I will never forgive myself if I don't try. I have this money saved up. What am I going to spend it on if I don't invest in myself, in a business? I'm going to probably blow it on, going out with my friends and just doing stupid stuff with that money. And to me, it made more sense to just take it, invest in something that I'm building. And if I lose it all, I lose it all. That's okay. I can make that money back. I can always go back to a restaurant job and keep working. But to me, it felt like it was going to be very unsatisfying if I wasted that money and did nothing with it. To me, this was going to be, even if it didn't work out, it was going to be a good experience. I wanted to try my very best at this and see what kind of outcome I can get out of it.
Sure, cool. I know I had similar experience, not exactly, but kind of similar that I also learned some money. Like it was like awesome. I was helping like my grandparents kind of thing, cause then some volunteering job. Yeah, and I earned like this $500. And then I come to the Czech Republic. I was like, oh, what should I do? And it was like Sandberg. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, I will put all this money towards selling shoes. Yeah. And I have never did it before. I didn't know where to buy, how to buy, which shoes are good and bad, because I have no idea about it. And then I just like double it, and then I put more money and again double it. Yeah. But then I kind of realized, as you mentioned, that if I want to succeed on this thing, I should go all in. But it wasn't my kind of first priority, and then I stopped it. But I mean, it was good experience.
But see, like, I think that's the founder mentality of, I'm gonna give it everything I've got, and it might not work out. And that's a big risk that many people don't like to take. They want stability. They want guarantees that I'm gonna get this money back.
Especially, I think it is important to really understand, because at any point when you grow up, I think the reason is that you was not fully committed from the beginning. You just didn't see, like with shoes in my case. I want to be like a founder, and I just try it, and it kind of like all force work out. I earn this money and double it, triple it. But it wasn't this kind of future where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
And because of this, I stopped. And I think a lot of people just start also different things like side hustle, and they don't realize it. If you don't see the future in this, it's mattering maybe millions.
Yeah. I agree. I think that if an idea you fully commit to, you also have to fully believe in it. And even if it's a little bit of delusion, I actually, when I started, a lot of people had told me that this wouldn't work, or your competitors are too big, or you shouldn't do it. Do something else. Do something else. Just have a job. And to me, that was never a turn-off point, because I knew that regardless of how it ends up, I'm gonna be satisfied that I gave it all. And it's a good feeling.
Coming back to your marketing, you have some like crazy ideas. So it is CUUB in dating show. Yeah. Could you explain more why dating show?
That was
how Powerbank Sergeant connected this is?
Yeah, it was such a spontaneous idea. So there's actually another student founder. He's from Texas. His name is Evan. And his startup his business is, he runs these unique dating shows at colleges where he recruits college kids. He will run like a dating show where they have to, just do a bunch of stuff on stage. And he would get like 400, 600 people to his events. Wow. All the way in Texas. And he's actually recently, he also got some investors, and he's making a Omi TV, but like a dating platform, but you get on a call with your partner, and you actually talk to them.
And first I was doing this.
Yeah. I think it's called Cupid Live.
Cupid Live.
Yeah. And his thing is called a Cupid Date Show. But we had an opportunity. Someone approached us, and they're like, "Oh, you guys are also founders. I'm actually friends with Evan. I can put you guys together. Maybe you guys can collaborate or run some event." I mean, all of them were like, "Why not? Why not? Let's try it out. This is something different. This is something completely out of our line. We completely don't do events. We're a charging station tech company. Why would we do this?" But me and Johan and Nick, we were like, fuck it. We're gonna just try it. And we get on a call with Evan, and we sell Evan on the idea that he should come to DePaul and run this show with us, because he's also very comfortable with doing Texas events, but it's still new for him to go out and travel. And we were like, hey, if you think this is enough value for you, you should come and we should do an event together. And he saw value, in coming out to all the way to Chicago to throw an event. And
Oh, it's amazing.
and yeah, I think it was good marketing for us because it was like this student run startup throwing this event. It was a very bold event, a lot of like reaction out of the crowd. Everybody participated in the event. Everybody had a lot of fun, and I think that was overall success. I mean, y'all learned how to. We all learned how to run events. We understood what it is like to have somebody come to your event, and it was a great experience.
I really happy to see you try.
Yeah, me too.
Because I think something like this, you don't regret things which you don't do, but
Yeah,
no, since you tried.
no regrets, and same mentality. Like if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But we tried, and it worked out. I think it worked out pretty well.
Look, now I want to leave you two messages. The first one to some founders which are watching now.
Yeah,
And the second one is to investors.
yeah.
So if could you leave some message for a young, maybe high school student, maybe just university college student who are watching this?
Yeah.
What you would recommend them to do right now?
Yeah, right now. If you have a good idea and you truly think that your idea is good, just start telling everybody about it. And don't be scared to ask questions from your potential users. Would this bring you value? What would you like? Before you even build anything, before you even know what it's going to look like, whatever you want to build, just go out there and do a bunch of stuff. That will bring you so much more insight on how to build your company. This will put you in these communities that will end up helping you build what you need to build. And I think that's the biggest message I can give to any founder is put yourself out there as much as possible. I think we put ourselves out there a lot, and I would still tell my younger self to do it even more than I did. I would still put myself out there as much as possible. It's hard at first, but it's totally worth it.
Thank you for such detail. Yeah. And also, could you now message for investors? Would you tell your vision in next 3 to 5 years? How do you see CUUB and what are you planning to do?
Yes. Our plan right now is to build this really dense, really big network here in Chicago. So our plan before even going to any other city, any other like outside of DePaul, we want to place 1,000 stations in the downtown Lincoln Park, just kind of like this 5-mile radius of Chicago. In 3 years, I think we're going to have around 3 cities. And my goal that in 5 years, every year we're going to 5x our network. So have 5 times the size of the previous year. And in 5-6 years, we should have a 300,000 station network. That's our goal. And we're going to achieve it no matter what.
This is ambitious. Look, I was thinking how to make this show neat.
Mm-hmm.
And I came up with some game.
Okay.
So basically, you read the idea, which I made, and you should write it. And then you should improve it. It is the first page. Then I will give you exact paper,
Okay.
and you will leave your idea. But something totally crazy, something when you always think about it, but never execute it.
Yeah.
And another person, which you don't know, who will be the next guest.
Oh, I see.
The next guest will rate it and improve it. So now you should rate this idea, okay, and try to improve it.
Okay. I can talk.
Yeah.
About the idea. Okay. So I'm seeing a perfume vending machine. And I'm assuming the idea is that it's a vending machine that gives out perfume.
Yeah, is this right?
All right, let's see. So this is something similar to what we're doing.
Yes, icons, like learning more details. Based on your experience, more details.
Okay. I think that there's potential out there, especially like airports seem like a good idea to me. Let me think, how would I rate it? And what am I rating it based on, like how successful it could be?
Just like based on everything, how do you think this idea will be successful?
Mm-hmm. I think I would rate it a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
7 out of 10. And the I see the reason why it would be successful is because there is demand out there for, to buy perfume. And sometimes there is like a situation where you want to smell good, and you forgot to put on perfume, or there's something and you're at this like situation.
Right.
Kind of like airport, sometimes this happens, or maybe even college campus, where you need it and you just kind of buy it and keep it. The other 3 points that are kind of left out is, I think for now, there's a lot of unknowns of where this will be the best spot to work. The self-service industry is growing a lot right now. Like there's a lot of these self-service markets that you like the Amazon Fresh Path things, right? But I've actually seen these like vending machine areas where you come in, there's nobody there, right? You choose whatever item you get and you just walk out with it, right? And it charges your card. That industry is growing a lot right now. And I think this would fit in really good with it. My initial thought is, where is the best spot to make this work? Or are we selling expensive perfume, or are we selling cheap on the go perfume? Or not cheap, better say affordable, right? Affordable on the go perfume. Or is this going to be somewhere in like a Louis Vuitton store where you're going in and you're buying expensive perfume? I think that's the biggest question of like, who is the target market for this? That's my initial question. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course. Okay.